Hey there, my name is Guido Piquet, and I'm the host of the Ophthalmology Experience powered by Boost Patients. This is the ASCRS ASOA edition. This year we decided to do a food podcast on the vendor floor. And today's conversation is with Jenae Wahlberg. She's a director of ophthalmology sales at Nextech. Let's see how the conversation went. Jenae, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah.
I have to humble beginnings here. I did start in clinic and I didn't know what ODOS was, and someone took a chance on me. And so really having that clinical experience, backed with healthcare SaaS has been a powerhouse and a lot of fun.
Well, you've taken it a long way, so congrats. And thanks for joining us on our first podcast on the exhibit floor of ASOA Ask Chris. So this is the first for us. So hopefully it doesn't look too bad or sound too bad to the listeners.
Oh, it's great.
But it's definitely a first for us. And it's exciting because who doesn't want to shake it up every now and again, right?
Absolutely. And getting the energy from the show, really exciting things going on here. So
absolutely. So you guys obviously have a big exhibit booth here this week.
Yes.
And you guys are excited to have any big stuff that you guys are excited about?
Big stuff. I think the buzzword right now is AI, right? Okay. And so that's what we're very excited to be speaking to everyone about here at the show this week. So we do have it showcasing and all good things over there.
Yeah, I don't think if you don't have AI on your booth, I think you're in trouble.
I think so. Yeah, we're to that point.
Yeah, one of the classes I'm giving tomorrow is the difference between this year and last year.
Yeah.
Last year, everybody was talking about it, but there's been so much of an explosion in the past few years. And last year is that how do practices make the right choices? How do they know what's safe? How should they approach evaluating products?
Absolutely.
Because I think many of us don't have the answers to that.
Sure.
Because it is so new and it's moving so fast. So.
Yes. No, and I think it's, automation, it's interesting to see how that's evolved over time, right? Like back 10 years ago, we were talking and selling on automation and doctors seeing more patients. And we're like, you can just see one more patient and it pays for the system. And we're at that point where doctors are like, I don't want to see any more patients. Like,
it's true.
I see 100 already. And this is the first time in healthcare tech that it's taking the provider and doing the work for them, and it can finally enhance patient care, right? And so, and I think it partners really well with Boost and their story, right? With it's not that you need more leads, like we got to convert on what we have.
Yeah.
And I think it's same in clinic with AI, and ultimately just affects the patient for better experience.
So let me ask you a question, because you mentioned your how you came into ophthalmology.
Yeah.
So you worked in clinic?
I did.
Okay.
A retina clinic.
That's awesome. So think about the automations that are available today. So let's say that you were back in that retina clinic and your practice comes in and says, we've got this AI scribe tool. We've got all these automation tools.
Yeah.
What would you be thinking as a technician?
What would I, as a technician?
Yeah.
First, I'd be like, no way. Like, there's no way this can do my job and talk to this, interpret like, hey, I'm talking to this patient about her mom and this very personal situation. And then it's going to know as soon as I throw out a diagnosis or talking about like their pressures or whatever, and it's going to capture that information and put it in. Let alone, we all have maybe a certain way we say words, right? And it can interpret different languages. And so I think the mistrust would definitely be my first thought there.
Yeah, and I agree. I think we as practices have to understand how to send that message to our staff that these tools are there to augment what you do, not replace what you do.
Yes.
So when you have those conversations with practices that you work with, does Nextech have hey, here's how you might talk to your staff about this, or do you help people kind of think about how to have those conversations with their staff?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I think it's something we've always been doing, right? It's change management at its finest. When you're implementing a new system, that's the hardest part of it. I don't think I've ever been to a practice and they're like, yeah, we're just overstaffed, right? Like, I think understaffing is a really big pain point for a lot of lot of practices. So when we come in and say we can alleviate this for you so that you can perform top of license, right, for a physician or for a technician, it's like you can actually care about them now and you don't have to be stressed about the computer. And so walking through that change management and their focus is the way to go.
Like you said, maybe it's really understanding the pain points of what that current tech or scribe or clinician or OD or whatever MD has, and then sell on their pain point.
100%.
Right? Because I don't know how many times I hear scribes say, I can't keep up. The doctor's just running in and out of the room. I can't keep up with them. And well, if you had a tool that could maybe help listen to the visit while you're outside, maybe finishing the chart, then it's going to help you. It's your buddy. It's your friend.
100%. And I think sometimes it's like you said, we think it's going to be that, but we've implemented in practices where the doctor came to me later. And this was years after we had implemented, and he's like, Jenae, I saved 2 hours a week just on letters alone now that we've switched over to you. And we don't sell on letters, right? That's not like a thing that we talk about in our sales cycle. And so it's been interesting to see the value that they're getting just from other parts as well. So,
so you say the word value. So I think that's also critical. Like whenever we talk about these automations, we need to figure out what's the ROI on this? Like how do we bring value and not just put this other cool tool that doesn't bring value or that we haven't been able to measure. So whenever you talk to practices about, hey, here's an AI scribe tool that Nextech can offer your practice, or here's some automations.
Sure.
How do you drive that value conversation? Like what is it that is there any specific things from a dollars perspective or like work hours saved, or how do you approach it?
Yeah, honestly, and I would challenge if you're listening and you're in a clinic today, knowing what your costs are currently for, patient reminders or prior authorizations or, all those workflows that require a body, putting a dollar amount on that. And if you prefer someone calling your patients and having that touch, completely fine, but just knowing what that cost associated with it is. And so when we have these conversations with the practices, it's an interesting intersection because a lot of times the doctor's like, tasking the admin, CEO, go find this, like see what's on the market, what can help me. But they haven't done an internal audit with like, what's our current cost for this? We're not paying a system, but we are paying people to do this.
Sure.
So I think first it goes internally understanding like your goals, your own KPIs. And then when you go to the market, right, then we're having that conversation of like, hey, how much time is it taking you to call your patients, to look at your authorizations, to, and it's, then the ROI makes sense.
Yeah. I think, if I were the client having a conversation with you, I'd probably ask you, can you help me quantify it? Right? Because I think that is also the challenge for practices.
Sure.
They know that they have those issues.
Yes.
It's hard for them to quantify. I was in the interventional glaucoma session yesterday.
Okay.
And I listened to some of the reasons why it's a good idea to go treatment first. And the reason this makes sense is because they talked about micro interruptions. And so there's an accumulation of all these micro interruptions that a practice has that they don't even realize.
Yeah.
It's the callbacks for certain things because it wasn't documented properly, or the PA request because their insurance didn't cover it.
Yeah.
So if you challenge a practice, I think, to think about all of those micro interruptions that then you place a value on, and you say, it's not that we're trying to replace your staff or we're trying to, do things that are outside of your workflow. There's interruptions in your current workflow that you don't know is happening and as a provider, and you need to understand what those things are. And here's how we can fill that gap.
100%.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. You want to hire me as a salesperson at Nextech?
Absolutely. Come on over. You got to use us first, though.
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say who we're with, but they all know who I'm with anyway. But I think Nextech and ModMed are, I think, in my opinion, the leading companies in terms of ophthalmology, EMR, and PM systems. And so I love to see the competition because it makes you guys innovate. And it makes you continue to make the product better.
Yes.
And it's really exciting to see all the innovation, like when I went to the user meeting, to see all the cool things. And I know you guys just had your user meeting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Were there any from your user meeting? Was there any like cool announcements and stuff that like, hey, here's what's coming down the road in 6 months or 12 months that you'd like to share?
Sure. So, core is the big one for us right now. It's all hands on deck. And so showing that live at the user conference.
Sorry, what is Core?
Cora, is our AI assistant.
Okay.
And it'll be charting as you speak, and it's real time injecting into the chart. So, a lot of other AI systems out there, and this is when you're looking at third parties, something to consider, right? They don't have access to, we're creating data lakes that allow for this AI to be real time. And so if your AI assistant is charting after you're already done, right? If there's a lag or right, there's a disconnect in the data. And so that's something that we highlighted there. We had people on stage talking in real time as they were speaking. It was just like you saw the bubbles coming up, and it was mind blowing. That's awesome. It was really fun. So,
is there anything automations wise on the RCM side or PM side that you guys have coming out?
Yes, so we're focusing on the chart first, and then we're getting into all of that. So next year will really be a big year for AI and the PM, but this year we're really focusing on the clinician side of things. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. There is definitely something to be said about going too fast versus doing it the right way. There's probably a lot of companies that you could talk to that say, yes, we do it all.
Yes.
I just caution people, you really got to understand, do your research.
Yep.
And I also heavily recommend specialty specific automations.
Yes.
Because it's built in a model that your system understands.
100%. Right? The language model. Absolutely.
Right. Because there's a lot of people selling an AI scribe.
Yep.
And don't really understand what that means.
No.
And when I explain it to them, say, well, really, it's a dictation tool. It's not going to take that information if it's not native to your EMR and put it in those discrete data fields.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm assuming Cora, is that what
Yes, Cora.
Cora? Okay.
Yes.
Who came up with the name? Your marketing team?
Yeah, I think it was. What's interesting, you said something there that's very interesting, because when the providers chart, when we first released this, like a year and a half, 2 years ago, we had it in clinic, and they're like, it's taking me more time. Like, I can chart faster than Cora can, because Cora was listening to the exam and then putting things in, and it couldn't merge fields, right? So there's been a big evolution of what AI has been, even, in the last couple of years. But being able for a clinician to say, hey, everything's normal, and for Cora to know what the normals are, right?
Sure.
Huge, right? And not have to call out every, finding. They would never do that. They would never keep up. So anyways,
that's interesting.
Little details,
and it'll only continue to get better, right? Over time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think we've seen that in the tools that we use, and you're right. It's who knows what'll happen in 2 or 3 years. It'll be really interesting for us to see kind of where these tools are.
Quick break brought to you by Boost Patients. If you're listening to this podcast, you're probably a physician, a practice admin, or maybe someone on the marketing team, and you really have a singular goal. You want new patients, more consults, higher surgery volume. And oftentimes when you want that, you think immediately about marketing, spending more on marketing, investing more in marketing. Maybe, but probably not. We've mystery shopped over 600 practices, and there's one commonality with all of them. They're not very effective and not very good at patient follow-up. So before you invest more money in marketing and more into that investment, you really need to understand how your practice is following up with new patients. So go to boostpatients.com, fill out the contact us form, and let me know that you want us to mystery shop your practice. We'll mystery shop it. We'll document how your practice follows up with your new patient lanes, and we'll share that information with you. Now back to the show.
But again, I think the explosion, and I don't know if you get these questions from your clients about, okay, there's all these options, like, does it work with Nextech? And and how do you answer those questions? Like, I mean, I'm sure it's similar to what I said as far as understanding how it works and the integration level. But is there anything that you tell them, hey, you need to really think about this?
We really focus on it being built from within, like the PM and the EMR, or the core of a practice, right? Like, it's their backbone. And so when you're trying to tack on these other systems, like, the level of integration is just never going to be, like, they'll never have full access to the data like they need to have what's going to be a successful implementation for the practice. So we could bolt on all these products all day long, right? But if they're not speaking and really working together, it's just another software system that you bought that might have a little, ROI or automation, but it's not fully there. So just
sense.
challenging them to look at that and not being too overeager to purchase the first thing that comes out. Like you said,
Right.
I think there's a lot of trust that needs to be built up within the industry before we can take that on completely. So that's where we're at.
And doing it safely, making sure that the data is not in a place that's unsafe, or it's training some model that you don't know your data is getting out somewhere. And I think people don't realize that the terms and conditions you just kind of scoot through, and that data is out there. And so you got to really be careful and be thoughtful and intentional about the system that you choose, so that
100%.
so that it's protecting your patient data.
Yes.
Because the tools and abilities are exploding way faster than I think any consequences will. Whatever consequences in the future will come up.
Absolutely.
And so it's the practices who take that approach, and I think and are intentional and work with vendors that are doing it the right way.
Yes.
That will hopefully be more protected.
Yes.
In the future.
Yes.
I just like when I get a patient, because I've had patients before that say like, I don't want my data anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like, I just kind of like, I don't know what to do, because it kind of is everywhere in our system. They're like, okay, not a problem. And there's ways for us to kind of shield, and we don't work with any clinical exchanges. So we're good. And we say, no, it's all contained in our patient database.
Yes.
But I think as AI, that's going to be more of a concern.
100%.
Where is my data? And I think if we can, hopefully the Nextech and the ModMed can help us with, verbiage and being able to make that case.
And it's a state by state situation too. Like this isn't, and so absolutely, our lead on AI, Melly and Jeremy, right? And maybe they can come on one day and explain it all, but they have meetings weekly that take up too much of their time over security. And so there's ways they've implemented that in there, but we're very cautious when it comes to that and the rules they put in place. 100%. Yeah.
So what is now I'll put your sales hat on. Questions about sales. What does it look like? Where are clients? Like, what's the landscape right now? Are people switching systems? Are they like, what's driving movement in the ophthalmology EMR space?
Yeah, the last couple years has been market shifts from other EMR vendors that have either decided to take their systems from server to cloud, right? And so there's a market disruption that's coming our way, or other vendors that are consolidating, right? And that's making their practices come to market. But what we're seeing right now is a lot of the systems that have been with when you meet someone, they're like, my system's fine, right? Like it does its job, but if it isn't broke, like don't fix it. You're actually seeing those people come on board now because they're really excited about the future of AI. I hate to keep going back to it, but you have to have that foundation there to even implement it, right? And so a lot of these practices, they're coming to us, they're like, we're so excited about it, but our current vendor isn't talking about it, isn't doing it, or it's a bolt-on third party that they've purchased. And so it's a way for them to come over now.
Are you guys busy? Like, has it been a, and you don't have to tell me. I'm asking, is it slow year? Is it a busy year? Like, do you have a lot of people coming in?
Yeah. So the last couple years, I would say it was a little more status quo than normal. And this year has been growth from last quarter to this quarter has been like 150%. So
why do you think
we're doing very, very well.
It's you.
Is that what it is? It's exciting times to be in healthcare.
Yeah.
Like I honestly think it's what I said, right? Is those status quo systems are just not keeping up. And doctors are more informed on what's out there now. And they're like, wait, why are we using that when we could have all of this? And so that's been the main trigger.
when you're thinking about how to discuss options and with a practice, how do you typically handle it? And you can use the example when you came to talk to me back in the day.
I'm like, you wouldn't know how I do that.
I know, I didn't give you a chance.
Goodness.
But how do you, like, when it comes to decisions in a practice, and I know you've probably seen it all across the board, like, how does it typically work, and what works best? Like,
how does the conversation work?
Like, how does well, from your perspective, when you're trying to, I guess, show them the way of, hey, this could really help you, what are some of the things that you've seen in terms of the decision-making structure? Do you go to the providers first?
Okay.
Do you go to the administrators first?
Yeah.
And have you learned any tips like
Yeah.
after our interaction?
You never were an opportunity.
We had one eye open.
Yeah.
We did.
I busted on your door. I walked in and I'm like, you got to take a look. And he's like,
yeah.
But no, it's honestly, it's just like, and I'm not sure how many sales you have on here, but when you're talking to someone, understanding where they're trying to go ultimately, right? Like, what are your goals? Where do you see this practice going? Are you trying to add providers? Are you trying to build locations? Are you trying, get more leads or convert? What is that for you? And then really all of our sales reps have worked in clinic previously. I think maybe one or two have not, but they're coming in really as a consultant, even paired with consultants in the industry, looking at their workflows and saying, hey, realistically, this is where we're going to be able to help you. This is how those goals are going to look, and guiding them through the process. So it oftentimes starts with, like, if you're 1, 2, 3 doctor shop, like, you're talking to the provider. Larger than that, typically it's administrative staff and C-suites and stuff. Yeah,
that makes sense. And kind of where I was going with that is, how should a practice best evaluate their options?
Okay.
Because I think a lot of practices, and I'll say us early on, maybe don't have a formalized enough way or didn't have a formalized enough way to evaluate their options.
Okay.
So from a Nextech perspective, I think it would be super helpful. And now I'm giving some secrets. Like, you go into a practice and you say, look, if you're thinking about a switch or you're looking at your options, this is what you need to look at.
Yeah.
And they're going to go, oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So it potentially, and especially with your experience of talking to practices, how do they evaluate their products? You might develop some kind of a roadmap for evaluation, even if it's just super simple.
Yeah.
And
no, we definitely have that.
Things?
Yes, we definitely have that. I think where it's a little hard, right, is it's going to be vendor specific. Like, so we're going to put a sheet out there. Other people have put a sheet out there, right?
Yeah.
But fully trusting that. But I think that's where the practice can even lean on AI. Like, hey, these are our goals. We're looking at systems. What should we be doing in this evaluation process? But as far as like this, how I've seen it done well is if you can get your staff to look at it, or at least your leads or your top level C-suite to have buy-in during the sales process, the change management is that much better because everyone's bought in at that point, right? And you're not saying, hey, we picked a new system and you're trying to push it out there. And so practices that bring people along, I've seen it work the best that way as well.
Okay.
For decision making.
Let's shoot you an easy one. So what are you excited about this week? We're at Ask Chris ASOA. What do you want to see?
I was excited about this.
Okay.
Yeah, the podcast was fun. No, and this is, I know we talked about this a little bit, but relationships within ophthalmology.
Yeah.
You just you can't beat it. And so seeing everyone again is so much fun. Even again, we've never done business together, but having those relationships, regardless of where you're at, is my favorite thing about coming here in the trade shows.
I think that's a great answer, because usually the people I like to do business with are down to earth, seem trustworthy, seem like a cool person, seem like they have good options, and just at some point in the future, you know what I mean? It's just making those connections.
Absolutely.
And you just never know, who's going to be your friend later in the future. So
100%.
And it's not all vendors think that way. I've had vendors like just make dumb decisions and treat you poorly and not treat you like a partner, even when you're not doing business or when you're doing business together. And that's just not the right approach.
That's just in life in general,
It is. I know.
It's been, there's obviously we're not the best fit for every single practice out there. So always keeping that relationship and always helping them. Hey, there's been a couple times, right, where they decided to go with another vendor or even you, and I'll still keep in touch with you. Hey, how are things going? Anything we can help with? And it's a very important overall.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, anything else you want to share with listeners? Tell them to come hit you up at what's your handle?
My handle. Yep, Jenae Wahlberg. You can find me on LinkedIn, and would love to assist how I can, wherever I can, and would love to meet everyone in person.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Well,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thanks for joining the podcast.
Yeah, the first one
on the floor. We had a couple stumbles, but it's all good. It's all good. and maybe we'll learn and get better. And maybe one day AI it'll just be you and I talking.
I hope not. It'll do the editing, but it won't be us ever.
Yeah. Awesome. And then I also want to take a moment to thank Boost Patients for producing the podcast.
Yeah.
You can find out more about them at boostpatients.com.
Okay.
And they help practice get new patients without spending a dime on marketing. If you want to talk to Jenae, you mentioned your handle, so hit up Jenae on LinkedIn, and she'll get in touch with you and help you figure out what AI tool works best in your practice. Until next time, everyone, have a great week.
Thank you so much.